What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to NFL Turf Talk here on DSM Media's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter page. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Happy Thanksgiving to my main man, Scotty, my co-host here on Turf Talk. And happy Thanksgiving to all my brothers over at DSM Media. Guys, if you're new to the channel, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. And then you can check out the link tree in our bio. It'll take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive throughout today's show, make it a fun one with us and kind of take in the 3 games that we have on the slate today, head on over to the YouTube channel specifically. That's the best place to get your thoughts, comments, questions, and concerns pulled up with myself and Scotty. My man, what's going on?
What's up, man? Happy Thanksgiving to you, your family, obviously everybody out there, DSM squad. Yeah, man, happy to be on here today. It's all good vibes, nothing to lose today, right? Just decent to good food if you're Dylan, right? I think it's good
it'll
food,
be great food today. But in terms of an overall cuisine, in terms of just an overall point of view at it, you know, it would be better with some Italian. It would be better with something else. You feel me? Like today, there's I don't know if the word I want to use is nostalgia, but like
fair.
The stuffing, the turkey, it's all great today. But in terms of overall food, it's overrated, man.
I'm smoking my first turkey today, so I'm excited for that. It's going to be an interesting task, but I don't know if it's going to be any good. We'll see, though. I'm following a recipe.
Alexis is going to be like, "You son of a bitch!" No, call the pizza shop. Are they open?
Yeah, I'm responsible. She's at work today, so I'm responsible.
Oh boy, you're home alone with it too.
Yeah, well, my mom's coming up. I got Will. I just picked him up from the airport, so we got some people in the building.
By yourself with it, right?
No. We're gonna mix up the mimosas after this for the Portugal game. Watch some Ronaldo, and then obviously dig into this NFL slate. But I'm happy to be here, thankful to be here, and exciting slate today for Thanksgiving, I would say.
Oh yeah, man! And guys, let us know what you're thankful for. Whether that's the 9-1 Philadelphia Eagles, whether that's for some football, whether that's family, friends, whether it's gambling, because we're going to get into some gambling today, Scotty, as well on the show. But yeah, man. So today we're just going to look at the 3-game slate today. We're not going to look ahead, although guys, we will not be live this Sunday. We will be down at the link for the Eagles-Packers game all day. So no Turf Talk this Sunday. We'll be back on Monday, but we're breaking down these 3 games between the Lions and the Bills, the Giants and the Cowboys, and the Vikings and the Patriots. And Scotty, you brought up an interesting point when you were texting me earlier about these games. When you look at our top 10 power rankings, when you look at the landscape of the NFC playoff picture, there's some implications here, right, man? And it's kind of what teams can separate themselves, especially when you backtrack 1 week prior to that Dallas-Minnesota beatdown. Yeah. Can Minnesota bounce back at home against New England tonight? Can Dallas take both against the Giants this season and kind of continue the path that they're on, playing solid football? Can Detroit give Buffalo a fight today? Detroit's won, 3 in a row now? So,
3 in a row.
And can they give Buffalo all they can handle? Well, let's get into it. Let's start with that Buffalo game and this Detroit game, because that's the 12:30 early slate one.
Yeah.
No Jeff Okuda. You and I were going back and forth last night, and this morning about this Lions defense, the Bills passing attack, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, whoever you really want to pick as a touchdown scorer today. Both are probably good plays. Is there any chance that Detroit's defense can keep them in this game? Because I feel like ever since they came out of that bye week a few weeks ago, their defense has been a little bit better, right? The Packers, they turned over 3 or 4 times and ended up holding the Packers to under 20 points or something. I believe last week, I'd have to go back and check, but
the Giants. The Giants had the most turnovers they've had all season against the Lions last week. So
is there any chance that Detroit's defense can keep them in the game against Josh Allen and this receiving core?
I'm gonna go with no. I just don't see it, man. On Thanksgiving on a national stage, I feel like what it would take for that to happen is the Bills to not show up with their full intent of winning this game, right?
Sure.
Thinking they could walk into Detroit and just walk all over the Lions. I don't think it's going to be that. I think the Lions' offense, maybe their offense, could keep them in it a little bit. Try to keep it close. Talk about time of possession with Jamal Williams. Try to get that run game going. They've had the run game going pretty solid. With the three, they've been running three backs, a running back committee out there for Detroit with Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, and I think it's Justin Jackson. I think he's the third string running back. So they've got the running game going. Obviously, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown on the outside, DJ Chark, but you talk about Detroit's defense. No Jeff Okudah. That's like your guy that you would put on Stephon Diggs, right? So then now your CB2 moves up to CB1, CB3 moves up to CB2. So not a good look against the Buffalo offense.
Which, by the way, a little tidbit for you. CB2's got already issues of his own because Detroit gives up the most yards and most production to wide receiver twos on the season. So if Okudah's doing his job on wide receiver one, wide receiver twos are feasting. And now Okudah, like you said, everybody gets pushed up a notch on the depth chart, got to play up. Now CB2 gets to play Stephon Diggs. CB3 gets to play Gabe Davis. So, you know what this game is like looking at for me? Do you remember Tom Brady on Thanksgiving noon in Detroit? Couple years ago. Deion Branch came back.
I honestly don't remember.
I think Brady threw for 5 or 6 touchdowns, 400 yards. I had him on my fantasy team. It was amazing when I was younger, right? It just feels like that. They gave out the Thanksgiving Day ball, like Josh Allen, just putting up monstrous numbers today, showing off on a national stage. And when you think about that, when you think about the Detroit Lions, what do you think about, Scotty? Thanksgiving.
Yeah, of course.
The Detroit Lions are 3-18 straight up in the last 21 Thanksgiving Day games. They're 7-14 against the spread in those games.
I will say the one thing that kind of bodes well for the Detroit Lions is that it is a short week. Josh Allen kind of mentioned, talking about this game ahead of the game here, how the short weeks, the schedule is kind of just crippling them right now. They're really beat up. They can't really get ahead of anything. And obviously he's dealing with the elbow injury. So how healthy is Josh Allen? I agree against this defense. He should come out here and have a field day. But he hasn't looked normal since we've seen that elbow injury, right? Last week, it was more of a running attack. They really focused around the ground game, but I'm looking to Detroit's offense once again. I wanted to bring it up again just because if they can protect Jared Goff, that's a big if. That's a huge if they can protect him. You've seen the last 2 weeks, Amari Cooper and Justin Jefferson, right, be able to just torch this Buffalo Bills defense. Amari Cooper, 8 receptions, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, 10 receptions, 193 yards and a touchdown. So back-to-back weeks, 2 top receivers have been able to give the Bills the work. Obviously, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Can Goff get him the ball? Can Goff stay up on his feet? That's my big question.
That's my key, right, for this Detroit offense is Jared Goff effective today? Because after we wrap up this kind of analysis of this game, I'm going to give you 2 parlay options for this game and see what's the better option. Jared Goff passing yards is in the equation, but is it over? Is it under? Because there's weeks where Jared Goff in this offense is high flying and Jared Goff's throwing for 325 and 2 touchdowns, whatever the case may be. There's also weeks where Jared Goff throws for about 160 and 2 interceptions and a fumble, right? So what Jared Goff, what defensive front are you getting from Buffalo today? The wide receiver ones have given this Bills secondary some issues. Tre'Davious White is back, though. Jordan Poyer's healthy. So you look at those 2 situations, and it's like maybe that can shore things up. And honestly, man, I know you talk about it a lot with me because you have them on you in your dynasty league and on some of your fantasy teams. The DeAndre Swift thing makes 0 sense to me. Dan Campbell, I don't know what the deal is. When he first came back, it was okay. Maybe he's not 100% healthy, which I still never understood because don't play him then at all until he's fully healthy. Now he's clearly fully healthy. Jamal Williams still gets more carries. Jamal Williams gets the goal line touches. Jamal Williams gets most of the production. And it makes zero sense because I'm with you in the fact that DeAndre Swift he can be a game-changing talent on a day like this when you are undermanned, when you are the underdog at home. You would hope that you have a playmaker like this that could kind of maybe surprise the other team. It depends if they use them.
See, and that's the thing, and coming into this game, I totally agree with you. This is a game where you unleash DeAndre Swift because he's your best weapon. Like he's your most explosive weapon.
Literally.
But they didn't do it last week against the New York Giants. So I'm like, they're not going to they just won't do it. Like, and Deuce Staley's in this equation too. I just remembered that I was going through Twitter today because I was thinking about DeAndre Swift, man, because it's puzzling. It's puzzling because last week you had the third string running back, Jackson. He gets more carries than DeAndre Swift in that game. That's wild to me. It really makes DeAndre Swift, he scored a touchdown in that game, but he's become, if you're looking from a fantasy perspective, he's completely touchdown based. Like if he doesn't get a touchdown, he's not going to do well for you. I've lost all confidence in not him, but their usage of him, man. It's really annoying as a fantasy owner. But from just a football standpoint, it just doesn't make much sense. I feel like today especially would be a day for DeAndre Swift to be in the game because he is their best pass catching running back. This is a game where they're going to have to keep up with Buffalo. So I think this is a game where DeAndre Swift should be used. But I just don't trust their coaching staff to do it, man. It's weird. I get Jamal Williams has the character. He's a leader. He runs tough. He runs hard. He's durable, but
to me, man, Jamal Williams has always been a second option, right?
Second running back.
In Green Bay. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was in Green Bay before he went to Detroit, correct?
He was the duo with Aaron Jones before.
Yes, he was the second option. Dillon. He was the change of pace, the bruiser kind of running back, which is nice to have. He is not more talented than DeAndre Swift. Absolutely, man, and I pulled up his stats for that reason that you brought up. He's got 3 touchdowns on the year, Scotty. And the crazy thing is we saw firsthand how explosive he can be back in week 1. Against the Eagles, he had a season high 15 carries. He had 144 yards. He averaged 9.6 yards per carry. He also had 3 receptions. Dude, since then, he has gone on to not have more than 7 carries in a game. That happened once. He's had 5 carries, 7 carries, 5 carries, 2 carries, 6 carries, 5 carries. That it's inexcusable with a guy that talented. It really is. Terry, you have a great Thanksgiving yourself. Adam, Scotty, real quick question. Which game are you most excited for? We're breaking all of them down. As explosive and fun as I think this early game could be, I honestly have to look at the NFC East game, right? To be the one you're most excited about. The later game has potential to be a little bit boring with Mac Jones and the Patriots offense on the other side. This game could be a little sloppy, maybe a blowout. That Giants-Dallas game is probably the one I'm most excited about, as well as being an Eagles fan and paying attention to it.
Yeah, there's something about that Giants-Cowboys game. We're going to get to it. I just feel like the Cowboys are about to stomp them.
Interesting, man.
I really do, man. I think they're about to stomp them, but the Pats and Vikings game is interesting to me because I'm looking to that game. It will be boring. If things go the way that I think they will go in that game, it will be boring. Yeah. I want to see if the Patriots are for real. That's kind of what I'm looking for there. And then on the other side, are the Vikings for real? Are you going to drop 2 in a row after you just got dogged? So that's an interesting look at that game. But it is tough. The Giants are 7-3. The Cowboys are 7-3. Dallas is a 10-point favorite in this one at home. I don't know. There's just a weird feeling I have about that game, but it is a division game at the same time. So I think I have to look at that one as the most exciting. But all of these are pretty interesting, I would say, for a Thanksgiving slate.
Yes, sir. All right, let's wrap this up with game predictions for the Bills-Lions matchup and also our bets. Scotty, yes, I got the Bills in this one. I agree. You had the questions about the elbow injury, the arm, short week. I get all of that. This stage, it really does feel like Josh Allen, not Jonathan Allen. Josh Allen gets that gets the game ball, gets the post-game interview, 349 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. And against this secondary, it just feels like that, right, man? So I'm going with a Bills win. I can honestly, for some reason,
they cover.
And for some reason, I think that the Bills 41's popping in my head, Scotty. I don't know why. 41 is popping in my head for Bill's score. So I'm gonna start Thanksgiving off with a little outlandish, okay? I'm gonna go 41-27.
Nice.
High
Interesting.
scoring game.
Should
I
be a
like
fun
the
game.
over.
Should be a fun game for sure, man. I'm definitely going the Bills in this one. Obviously on the road against the Detroit Lions. I think the Lions, man, they are getting better. They're getting better is the
Have
way
they
I'll put
seen a
it.
team of this caliber though?
They haven't, and that's a fair question, and that's something their coaching staff mentioned coming into this game. This is kind of a barometer game for the Lions, who are kind of trying to resurge here. I'm going with the Bills. I do think they cover ultimately. They're just that much better than them. It's kind of as simple as that, right? On the national stage, I do agree with you. I think the Bills, if they can, they will try to show out and dominate this game in a high pace, high scoring fashion. I'll go Bills 31, Lions. I'll go 31-20.
Okay.
I think
I
the
was going to
Lions
go
get 2
lower with the
touchdowns and
Lions
2
point
field
total.
goals.
Yeah. I was thinking lower, maybe like 21-24 for the Lions, but they are capable of scoring the ball.
They are. No, I like
It
your
really
score. I
all
like your
comes down
score.
to that Buffalo pass rush and what you can do against Jared Goff today. If Jared Goff has time in the pocket, you're going to see a different Jared Goff than whether he was under pressure. I believe Gregory Rousseau is out today, as well as another defensive lineman for another pass rusher for Buffalo Bills, man. So best bets and plays for this game. Gabe Davis. That's kind of my best bet for this one. Just a singular piece to look at.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis, anytime touchdown score, plus 110 odds on DraftKings. I know everyone's looking Stephon Diggs, rightfully so. I might have him in another play. I'll leave that up to the viewers and you, Scotty. But at what is he? Minus 160. It's not worth it to lay it by itself. We read out the numbers with Detroit secondary against wide receiver twos. Look for Gabe Davis to maybe even score twice today, but I'm taking the 1+ on at plus 110.
Yeah, and I rode that with you, honestly. I took Gabe Davis TD at plus 110. I do like the Gabe Davis matchup. And like you said, it's an explosive game, and usually when the Bills have their most explosive games, that's Gabe Davis getting open for a big, long touchdown, right? Downfield. So I do like Gabe Davis in this game to score a nice, I would say maybe even 40+ yard touchdown in this game. But nonetheless, I do have that at plus 110. I also have a parlay in this one, which, we talked about it before the show with the Diggs TD. The way I look at this, the DraftKings is running like the free or the risk-free bet, right, for Thanksgiving. So I went ahead, threw down on this parlay. If this doesn't hit, I imagine either Gabe Davis or Stephon Diggs will score. Exactly. So I'll at least get my money back with it. But I have Stephon Diggs touchdown. I have Josh Allen's 250 yards plus. I actually have Stephon Diggs 79.5+ yards. That's probably the hardest leg I think on this one. And then DeAndre Swift 10+ receiving yards.
Okay,
I think this is a game, like I said, get into passing downs, right?
He gets about 3 receptions per game, so you figure he's going to have a handful of opportunities potentially. So I actually like that one a lot. What's those odds?
Plus 306. Plus 306.
I like that a lot, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, brother.
We'll get the money back. Yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving.
So here's my parlay that I'm going to throw up in the air for the viewers and for you to kind of help me out with this one, Scotty.
Absolutely.
So I have Josh Allen over 249.5 passing yards. That's where the base starts on DraftKings, where you can even start his yards, right? So they're expecting a big day. Maybe that's wrong of us to assume, but I think he goes over 300, but I'll take the 250.
Yeah.
I have Isaiah McKenzie over 4.5 receiving yards. Just another leg to get that parlay boost up another notch, right? I have Jared Goff. Now tell me if I'm wrong for this one. Under 299.5. So Jared Goff not to throw for 300 yards. I know he's capable of doing so. I know that Buffalo's secondary has been exposed by 2 great receivers back-to-back weeks. I do not see Jared Goff throwing for over 300 today. Do you?
No, not at all. I do not see that.
So that
be
by
a bad
itself,
day for Buffalo defense.
Those 3 legs by itself is boosted to plus 126. So 50 would pay 113, right? If I add a Stephon Diggs anytime touchdown, it gets boosted to about plus 230, and I believe 50 paid like 193. is Stephon Diggs' touchdown worth the $80 extra, or do you just take the win with the 3 yardage legs? Viewers, let me know as well.
I think if I'm looking at it from the perspective of your score, 40 plus points in this game, Stephon Diggs is getting in the end zone. Like that's the way I look at it, quite honestly. He has as good of chance as anybody in this game to score.
And I do love your point of we already have the Gabe Davis play. So if not him, you know what I mean? Like you can cash both potentially.
It better be Diggs.
But if not him, you would expect it to be him. I just don't want like a Devin Singletary three
touchdown game, bro. Yeah, that's my thing. But I'm with you. I think on the national stage, I don't think the Bills are going to disappoint here as far as giving us a show.
Okay. So you know what, man? You might persuade me to lean the Stephon Diggs touchdown route, because I do think it's a great point that if it's not the Gabe Davis single touchdown hitting by itself, Stephon Diggs has better get in the end zone. Then you know what'll happen. Like Isaiah McKenzie will have no catches today somehow, some way. Right? I looked up his numbers earlier just to make sure. Let me just check one more time. Isaiah McKenzie. In games he has played, he has 24 receptions for 219 yards. He averages 9.1 yards per catch. He has 3 touchdowns on the season. Wow. Of course, last week he had 1 target, no catches, and no yards. But before that,
they ran the ball a lot last week, though.
Before that, he had never been under 5 receiving yards in a game. So I would expect Isaiah McKenzie to get 5 receiving yards in this one.
Yeah, bounce back game.
It's also like minus 1,100 as well. Like I said, I just threw it in there to get the boost with the extra leg there. So that is my play. So I think I'm going to lean with you, Scotty, and take Stephon Diggs touchdown. Let's get over to the 4:00 game, NFC East in Dallas, Giants and the Cowboys. Can the Giants bounce back? More injuries occur to their skill position players. Dallas coming off a stomping against Minnesota, biggest win of the season for them. Can they keep that going? Can Dak keep that going? Blue City Empire Sports. I have a feeling that my New York Giants are going to lose to the Cowboys, but you never know. The Cowboys had never won on a game on Thanksgiving. Yeah, man, I hate to be that depressing guy to you, but I have a feeling they lose as well. But to me, this game has everything to do with the Dallas Cowboys. How real are you? Because Scotty, wouldn't it just be so Cowboy-like?
It would, man.
To have a setback and drop this game after you stomped out the Minnesota Vikings the previous week on the road.
It would,
Giants
man.
are so banged up. I don't, maybe a tie. I don't see Daniel Jones having enough time today. Saquon coming off of a horrific game. That'll be interesting, right? Because Scotty, what is the way teams have shown you how you can alleviate that pass rush from the Cowboys? What do?
You got to run the football.
Run the football, right? Saquon Barkley, I would hope for a big game from him today. He had a pretty big game back in week 2 or week 3, whenever that was, when the Cowboys and Giants matched up. But ultimately, I don't think it's enough. I think that the Cowboys win today. However, it has everything to do with them, and nothing, if the Giants lose this game, reflects poorly on the Giants, because I don't view them as that real anyway. And they're so injured on the offensive side of the ball.
They're so injured, and I just looked at their injury report because I was thinking, like, I know Wan'Dale Robinson tore his ACL last week.
Yeah.
Obviously they traded Kadarius Toney, so I didn't even know what receivers they actually have. But then I saw the injuries to their offensive line, and so they have 3 guards out. They have an offensive tackle that's out, Evan Neal. That's detrimental against the Cowboys, right? Like that's not what you want to see against the Cowboys. Obviously, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, they've been banged up all season, but is that enough to stop them from rampaging against a division rival? I don't think that that's the case either. It's starting to feel like you said, you take a look from the scope of Daniel Jones, and you have to ask yourself, what is he supposed to do with this offense? Like, obviously, we've never been very high on Daniel Jones per se, but what can he really do? He doesn't have his offensive line. They don't have any receivers. They don't
Is there a
have
chance? Let me pose this to you. With
yeah.
Saquon, with Daniel Jones' ability to use his legs, we talked last week before the Minnesota matchup where Dallas can get exposed, giving up back-to-back weeks with over 200 rushing yards, right? Is there a chance New York can exploit that, keep Dak and the offense off the field, win time of possession, maybe win the turnover battle? Like they would have to they would have to check all
Yeah.
of those boxes in order to have a chance to win today.
You know, they can, and the reason that they can is because their defense is really good. The Giants have a pretty solid defense. Obviously, they let up against the Lions last week, got 31 dropped on them. That's the most points they've let up all season.
Yeah.
The thing about it is that I think they would have to play exactly like the Washington Commanders played on Monday Night Football against Philadelphia Eagles, right? You keep everything short yardage. You get to 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4. Those are downs that you can win. And that's by running the football and sticking with the run, whether it's Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, even if you're getting stuffed at first. Even if you're getting stuffed at first, you still run the football. You got backup offensive linemen in. What do you do with weak offensive linemen? You try to run the football. It's easier than pass protecting, right? You don't want Daniel Jones back there just throwing the ball. He threw the ball 40-plus times last week against Detroit. That isn't the recipe to me. No. You got to slow the game down. You got to control time of possession. And like you said, they do have to win the turnover battle somehow. They need to turn over Dak Prescott. That's the key this game for the New York Giants. But to answer your question, yeah, I think there is a way. There is a way that the Giants can do this. But like you said, if the Cowboys' foot is on the gas, if they look like they were moving last week against Minnesota, I don't see the Giants being able to keep up with the Dallas Cowboys.
But that is the question mark.
That's the problem.
That is the question mark, right?
That's the question mark.
Because not only would it be the most cowboyish thing to do, right, to get in your own way and set yourself 2 steps forward, 1 step forward, 2 steps back with them most years, right? It's just how real are you? Like you need this win, man, especially if you want to stay in the race with the Eagles for the division title, right? You're not out of it yet. You drop a game today, you're 2.5 back. They take care of business on a night. You're 3 back, and all those people talk Christmas Eve. It won't matter at that point.
It won't matter.
Cowboys need to take care of business today. And to me, the game plan or the most important thing for Dallas is Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy and not getting in your own way and not overthinking things. We talk about this every week with them. You see what Tony Pollard's been doing the last couple of weeks. Ezekiel Elliott is not the same Ezekiel Elliott as he was a couple, 2-3 short seasons ago. But he still finds the end zone. He still, they have a nice duo back there with the two of them behind that offensive line. And let Dak just pick his spots. You talked about getting in a 3rd and short with Daniel Jones, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Yeah. That's Dak's sweet spot as well. That's Dallas's key on offense as well, is getting into 3rd and manageables and then letting Dalton Schultz, CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown kind of work the middle of the field or the sidelines and kind of pick up those first downs, right? And work their way down the field. If Kellen Moore drops Dak Prescott back 45, 50 times today,
they're on
the New York Giants will have a chance to win this game. That is not the way to beat the Giants today, I promise you. So that's what I'm looking for, man, because then, and even if they win the game, but they roll out that game plan offensively, that's what I'm going to love. I'm going to sit back and be like, as an Eagles fan, when we match up, if we met in the playoffs, like, I want you to do this. I want you to drop Dak back 52 times.
Because, it's funny. It's like a trend right now where these coaches, they come into these nationally televised games and they just act like they forgot what's gotten them there. You know what I mean? Like, we saw it with Nick Sirianni in that Monday Night Football game, just not run the football. Like, he just didn't run the football with Miles Sanders. We've seen other instances where coaching just comes into question, especially on nationally televised games, because these teams want to put on a show, right? They want to excite their fans. They want to get the season rolling. They want to get the NFL bigger ratings so they can get more nationally televised games. So, like, it does tend to cause, coaches, players to act a little bit differently, maybe take a little more shots downfield, try to make the game a little more exciting. One thing I will say, if it's not short yardage, if it's not goal line, Ezekiel Elliott doesn't need to be in the game over Tony Pollard. That offense is ridiculously explosive when Tony Pollard is on he can score from anywhere on the field. And honestly, Thinking about matching up with Dallas from a Philadelphia standpoint, I think Tony Pollard is one of the biggest X factors for Dallas going against a tough defense like Philadelphia has. Just thinking ahead, but even today, I look at it the same. Tony Pollard out of the backfield, catching the ball, running the ball in space. He's just so explosive. But I do agree with you about Zeke. I'm not trying to really diss Zeke in saying that. I'm more or less just saying Tony Pollard has been like really good. And you've seen it the last few weeks when he was by himself. But Zeke is still quality runner, right? So you still got to get him mixed in there. There's just first and second down. Well, I guess third down would be your more explosive. So it's like, when do you take him off the field? But short yardage is when I would use Zeke. And I would keep Pollard on the field. Otherwise, maybe you mix in a little more two-back sets even to keep them both involved. But I really like Tony Pollard, and I have him in 2 fantasy leagues, so I'd prefer that as well.
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you. And I don't know if you saw the FanDuel boost, but they have a Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, and Ezekiel Elliott to combine for 2+ touchdowns today.
I love that.
Boosted to plus 100. So that might be the play I look at for that game. The 3 of them just find the end zone twice. It doesn't matter if one of them does it twice and the other 2 don't. So I kind of like that a lot. They also have a Bills to beat the Lions and Daniel Jones to rush for 25+ yards against the Cowboys. Plus 150.
I do like that one.
I like it. What worries me is the sack totals. If Daniel Jones is getting put behind the line of scrimmage a lot, taking away from his rushing capability. But he's capable of breaking off a 40-yard run at any time, man. And they might actually look to do some design things with him today as well.
I think they run a bit of an RPO type of system today if they're smart, right? Brian DeBole, he's a smart head coach. He's a smart offensive-minded coach that puts his quarterbacks in good positions. And I think if they are smart today, they will run that RPO action. How do you feel about a Daniel Jones plus 350 touchdown anytime?
I don't hate it. I don't
right?
hate, as
plus
a little
350,
bit of
those are
as a
solid
little bit
odds.
of a sleeper pick. Yeah, I mean everyone's odds go to Saquon for the Giants, right?
Right.
And if not Saquon, maybe Sterling Shepard finds the end zone today, but or not. Darius Slayton, excuse me.
I feel like Daniel Jones scored the last time they played. I could be wrong here. I could be wrong here, but
anything like inside the 10, Daniel Jones is a threat. I mean, further than that, but mostly inside the 10, he's a threat to keep the ball and taking.
I do have a parlay I'm thinking about laying. It is mostly Cowboys focused, but it's Tony Pollard anytime touchdown. Tony Pollard plus 14.5 or over 14.5 receiving yards, and Dak Prescott 200+ passing yards. Okay. That comes out to plus 210. So I was thinking about laying that down, but I haven't necessarily done it yet.
I like that, man. Getting to the final game of the night,
yes, sir.
To wrap up this Thanksgiving Day special. Patriots head to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Vikings. You and I, this is the one game that's interesting for us, man. 6-4 New England, 8-2 Minnesota. Minnesota really has no threat, no pressure to win this game in terms of winning their own division. They've wrapped that up already. But in terms of playoff seeding with the Eagles, the 1, the 2 seed, etc., there. And then also to your point, same thing we talked about with the Cowboys, but reversely. What are you made of, right? You just got your ass whooped on your home field last week against Dallas, right?
Right.
How do you respond? Knowing, like, I know, like, and here's my thing. Here's why I lean Minnesota. I just look at New England, and I know all the things that Bill Belichick can do with this defense. And obviously, we saw firsthand holding the Jets to 3 points and literally broke the New York Jets franchise and Zach Wilson, right? And I know how great he can be. Problem is, New England can't score points. And the problem is Minnesota's offense, no matter if he can, get to Kirk Cousins here and there, Minnesota's offense is not the New York Jets offense. So Minnesota, to me, is at least getting over 21 tonight. I don't think the Lions are going to – I don't think the Patriots are going to be able to score with Minnesota. Not saying it's going to be a high-scoring game because of Belichick's defense. I just really don't think they can stick with them tonight. So I have Minnesota for that reason alone. I think that Belichick can disrupt things with Minnesota. But I kind of look for Minnesota to do to New England what Dallas did to Minnesota. Maybe not 40-3, but maybe 31-13, 31-16, something like that in that area. Make a statement and show me how real you might be heading into the postseason.
Yeah. And see, that's kind of how I look at this game. I guess I'm just looking at it from the opposite end of the scope. Like, there's part of me that wonders if Minnesota is just a fraud. I'm wondering, man. That was a very exposing loss last week against the Dallas Cowboys, where if you have a solid pass rush up against this quarterback in their offensive line, they really can't get any offense going, right? The Dallas Cowboys were able to dominate them. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys have a top 5 defensive line in the NFL, so that's not saying much that they were able to dominate them that way. But the Patriots do have a very solid, if not good, defense coming into this game tonight. And I want to see if the Patriots are for real, right? You've been able to beat the Jets twice, right? They've beaten the Steelers. They haven't really beaten any quality team, I would say, throughout this season so far. So this is going to be a good barometer game for New England. There's really, it's more of a gut feeling that this could just be a tough it out game. And I worry about the Minnesota Vikings in an environment like that. Obviously they're in Minnesota, but I mean more or less the type of game that's being played, a physical punch you in the mouth game. I don't know if that favors Minnesota. They just seemed a little soft last week. It could have just been a huge letdown after a huge win against Buffalo. It definitely could have been that. And maybe I'm going over the edge here with the Minnesota Vikings, but just have a weird feeling, man. I honestly have a weird feeling about this Vikings team, but they can certainly cure that weird feeling by going out and winning this game against the New England Patriots. I'm leaning the Pats in this game. I'll be frank with you. Just a weird feeling about this on Thanksgiving. It's in Minnesota. Bill Belichick in primetime spot to really make a mark with his unit here. But I will say I wouldn't put money on it.
I got you, man. Unfortunately, I do have money on it. So my last play of the day, and I'll have more, and we could tweet them out as well from the DSM page. So if you guys don't follow us already, check us out at DSM_media on Twitter to get all of our plays throughout the day. But just a totality, just a little money line play, right? So I had the Buffalo Bills for the first game. I had the Dallas Cowboys in the second game. And I had the Minnesota Vikings money line in the third and final game tonight. All those three together come out to a plus 160 odds on DraftKings. So that's the last play I have in for the moment. So we will see.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't put my money on the Patriots tonight, but there's just a weird feeling for me about this game. But we'll see which one of these teams are really real, I guess you could say. Yeah. I do have a last parlay as well. It comes out to plus 213. I have the Dallas Cowboys money line. I have Bills spread, so 9.5. And then I also have Patriots covering the spread, but I teased it a little bit, plus 9.5 in this game. So comes out to plus 213. That's kind of my overall play of the day, I guess you could say, across all three games.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm not going against your Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, no.
Just a plus 9.5. So
everybody wins over here, brother. Everybody wins.
Plus, we got some similar plays in the early matchup.
Little off script before we wrap up here. Is this a Super Bowl or bust season for the Philadelphia Eagles? Define bust is what I would say to you. The expectation is championship, right? Obviously 9-1, best record in the NFL. Yeah. The expectation is moved to getting to the Super Bowl and potentially winning one. But if you mean bust in terms of the season will be a failure, you know what I mean? Like how some people are like, well, if they don't win the Super Bowl, it's not a bust in that sense, because when you entered the year, Scotty, was this what we expected?
Right.
No. So because they're over it, because they've surpassed our expectations, doesn't now make it a failure or a bust. But if you mean bust in terms of our expectation is to get a Super Bowl or yeah, my expectation is to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think a bust would be not winning a playoff game. Like that would be a bust. Like getting the number 1 seed, locking that up, and then somebody comes into Philly and beats you in that first game. Right?
I agree. A bust would not be making the NFC Championship game.
Exactly. But as far as Super Bowl or bust, we'll see. If we get to the end of the season and the Eagles are 16-1. Yeah, it's Super Bowl or bust, right? 15-2.
I know how crazy it would be even in the second round, in the divisional round. But could you imagine the link for Eagles, Cowboys, NFC Championship?
Oh, my God.
Could you imagine it, dude?
Might be on fire, man.
Could you effing imagine? And it's a great possibility at this point. It really is, man. But today is a day that one of these two teams separates themselves. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Of the three teams, the Bills, the Vikings, and the Cowboys, the three playoff teams, even though the Giants are in that picture right now, but I think you get my point, and the Patriots as well, but
Yeah.
you get my point why I picked those three teams. Which one separates themselves from the pack today with a big time win? And kind of more so, I include the
I'm
Bills, but
sorry.
kind of
What
more
was the
so, I
three?
mean the two. It was
The
the
three
Bills,
teams
the Cowboys, and the Vikings,
and
but I
the
guess I can
Vikings.
narrow it down to Vikings and Cowboys. Basically, I'm looking at the NFC. The Bills, I think we know the Bills are real in the AFC, right? Like, even though if they have their
Yeah.
woes, they're still the Vikings and the Cowboys. Who separates themselves tonight? Even though I know you think the Patriots make it close, so you're probably leaning Cowboys, but
First of all, what I would say about Buffalo, every game is a must win for Buffalo, though. I
yeah,
will say that they need to win every single game throughout the rest of this season because they need to beat out Miami to get that home field advantage, at least through until you play KC, right? For Minnesota and Dallas, obviously I'm leaning towards New England tonight. It would be if they both win, then it means kind of nothing in the
okay.
NFC in a
Who's it
sense.
more important for between the two to separate themselves?
Think it's more important for Dallas because they have the New York
I agree.
Giants right on their heels, right? They need to go ahead and win this game in order to get some separation just from the Giants, and that would most likely seal that, between those two, because they would have 2 wins over the Giants and have a better record. So I think it's more important for Dallas to get this win today, just to separate themselves from the rest of their division and also to secure the highest wild card seed,
Yeah.
right? So I think that would be good for Dallas to do. Minnesota, if they lost this game, well, I guess Dallas, no, because Dallas
Yes,
wouldn't be a
they're
division
they're
leader.
gonna win their
So
division. It doesn't
yeah, it
there's way
doesn't.
less pressure on Minnesota, and I'll
Yeah,
say this as well to wrap it up.
yeah,
It has to be Dallas because not from my point of view. I mean, Dallas is a very good team. Do they have a shot? Sure, but I don't view them like I think Vegas put out the likeliest Super Bowl matchup is the Chiefs and the Cowboys. Somehow the Cowboys are the likeliest team to come out of the NFC. Now,
let's see that.
people hype that. No one views Minnesota, even at 8-2. No one views Minnesota. You don't hear anybody pick them to get to the Super Bowl. You don't hear anybody pick them to win it. It's the Eagles, it's the Cowboys, it's San Fran. Hell, it might even be the Bucks to some people with Tom Brady instead of the Vikings. With Dallas as the wild card, you hear a lot of talk, a lot of discussion about how they might be the best team or the second best team in the NFC to come out. So for that reason alone, if you're the team with the higher expectations, if you're the more Super Bowl ready team, you have to find a way to separate yourself and not take a step backwards today on a big stage as well, man. And it's
look,
just, it'll be funny tomorrow. Let's just say they hypothetically, I don't think they do. I picked them to win. If they lose this game, it'll be funny to see them get the Brooklyn Nets treatment on national television tomorrow.
Absolutely.
The downplaying of what this means and downplaying of a bad loss, but reversely, like I said to you, if Joel Embiid lost to a Kyrie and KD list Nets team, what would be the talk? If the Eagles lost to the Giants today, all banged up, what would be the talk? But you'll get all the excuses in the world.
100%.
I think they win regardless.
But Dallas would play Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay right now if the playoffs started. So if if you think they have the best route to the Super Bowl, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
Good luck. Play Tampa in Tampa. You get that experience. We dealt with that last year, but I'll take home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That's what I'll
for sure.
roll with.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap up our Thanksgiving Day special here on Turf Talk on DSM Media. And as you guys already know, DSM Media is proudly brought to you by our friends over at Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of 2 great locations in Fishtown and Old City and book your appointment today. Gents owns the craft, and it shows. Rated the #1 barbershop on Yelp in the Philadelphia area, having multiple award-winning barbers and being able to handle any style of cut, adult or kid. Take a look at some of Gents' great work. Again, you can check them out at jensbarberlounge.com to book your appointment today in Fishtown or Old City. Also, don't forget to check our friends out at Luxinen Jewelers at shopluxinen.com. Use promo code DSM for 25% off and free shipping. Again, promo code all capital letters DSM at checkout for 25% off and free shipping. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy it. And let's go win some money on this great holiday,
let's win.
Scotty.
Let's cash some tickets. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
And we will see you next Monday.
Yes, sir.
Peace.